Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to Jester Brothers Cartoon Theater, where my brother and I explore the vast and beautiful worlds of animation for the perfect place to call home. And we are both very excited for what we're deciding to cover today. It's been on the list for a while, but we wanted to really sit down and do some good research before we talked about it. And that's because we're opening up the entire can of worms of video games and the internet with the Wreck-It Ralph universe.
Yes, I'm so excited to be talking about this because there are a lot of video games that I am a fan of that we probably wouldn't talk about otherwise because they don't really have, a lot of them have TV content, I guess. Technically, there is a Super Mario Brothers show, but in general, we wouldn't really. So mostly this because those shows are terrible.
That is the bad 80s one, right? Like bad animation, but
there's a
surprisingly fun.
I think there was a bad animated one. There's a live action one that's really bad.
Yeah, I'm aware of that too.
Yeah.
I know that that's a thing.
That's fun.
Honestly, that would be hella fun. Yeah, I would love to dive into a very bad 80s show sometime soon. Because we just talked about X-Men the Animated Series, which is a great 80s show, but like there's some bad one, and maybe I think it was even 90s potentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something to think about.
Nice. You want to start?
But this is going to be a much more robust video game discussion than we would get by just talking about Mario Bros. Or honestly just talking about any of these as individuals because it's wildly expansive.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I was gonna go down a tangent, but we'll streamline it.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I'm gonna jump right over then because we have a lot to talk about today.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay.
It's there.
I knew it was. I was literally just gonna say start the machine, and it still startled me as soon as I heard it.
Operation Give Lou a Heart Attack.
Yeah. Also, everyone, sorry, I'm in my bathrobe. I'm being comfy today. It's cold.
No, it's a Dragon Ball Z bathrobe. Or no, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pertaining to animation. You're totally in theme.
I won it in a giveaway on Instagram. It's so comfy. Okay. It's like plush.
That's actually, I'm the one that's underdressed. You're actually like in a cartoon outfit where I am not at all.
True. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm dressing the part.
Well, we're a couple of characters heading right into what is called Litwick's Arcade in the Wreck-It Ralph universe. What is that? To please explain to the podcast.
Come on, you know what this is.
Oh, okay. It's Lou's mystery cube from Mario Brothers.
Yeah. It's here now.
Oh, very good. It lights up and everything. Yeah, and he's got Mew. All right. Well, I see that you're very well prepared.
Like it, actually.
Yeah, you're well prepared for the video game discussion. That's great.
Yeah.
Because this universe is so expansive, I want to talk about this in segments.
Yes.
We are going to start with Wreck-It Ralph 1, where we are introduced with just this arcade and the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
And then we will expand our horizons, I guess, into the wider world of the internet that shows up in Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Okay.
So if people are not familiar for some reason and you're tuning in, Wreck-It Ralph is a Disney movie that is all about a video game world, to put it very, very simply.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great way. And Disney paid for a lot of cameos, so it's pretty expansive for what we're going to be able to talk about.
Yeah, a surprising amount of cameos considering how much Disney already has access to through their rights. They were still able to put in all kinds of other companies' characters in here.
Yeah.
It's actually a great, wildly creative movie, arguably one of the best of the 21st century. Is that a hot take? Are you thinking about...
That might be a hot take. That might be a hot take. I don't know about that.
Do you feel like maybe for you the concept is stronger than the films themselves?
No, I do really like these movies. I'm a nerd about movies, though. Like, saying it's one of the best of the 21st century, I'd be like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of really good movies that exist. I don't know if I could, if I had a tier list.
I was speaking exclusively of Disney.
Oh, if we're talking just Disney? Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. That's probably one of Disney's best movies that came out in the modern time. I agree with that.
I think the concept is so stellar.
No, I
And
love these movies. These were fun. I mean, I'm a video game fan also, and I feel like for video game fans, this is always going to be more fun of a movie. You know, like I feel like our parents probably aren't going to get anything out of this. You know what I mean?
That's actually a really good point. Like, I think the movie holds up well on its own, where you can still say, hey, that's pretty good. But if you're a video game fan, you're really going to love a lot of what's going on here, for sure.
Well, and if you're not a video game fan, I think that it's probably just very silly and hard to get into because there's a lot of layers to entry for your like suspense of disbelief, you know what I mean? You'd feel like you're watching the Trolls movie, you know what I mean? If you don't know anything about video games.
Oh man. So I don't fully agree, because I think that what they do specifically with the world's mechanics is very interesting.
That's fair.
Almost Pixar-esque in the way that we sort of take a very creative concept and take it to a new level.
I'm not trying to I don't want to make it sound like I'm down, because I do really like these movies. I'm just a really big video game fan, and I don't know if that would translate for other people.
Yeah, definitely. So we start off in Wreck-It Ralph 1, and we have Litwick's Arcade. And it is, at its base level, a room of 24 arcade machines. And so they mentioned there's 24, but apparently there's maybe more. Don't think too hard about the number.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Arcade rooms have my heart. I love arcades. I love pinball. I love hanging out in arcades and playing at them all day. There's one in Portland that's called, if anyone's ever in Portland, Oregon, go to Ground Control, like the David Bowie reference.
Nice.
And it's a 2-story arcade. It's phenomenal. Go check it out. I love arcades.
Sounds awesome. And yeah, in this Litwick's Arcade, the very fun thing about it is that all of the video games within it, if you call them that, they're more like those old school video game consoles, right? Like the Pac-Mans, the Donkey Kongs, things like that.
The arcade machines?
Whoops. Yeah. The arcade machines.
Arcade games. Yeah, they're arcade games. Yeah.
Yeah, they're arcade games. And all of them have their own worlds taking place inside them with characters that have their own lives and personalities.
So we're going to be simplifying this discussion a lot today, because in a way, every single one of these games could be their own thing. Right. Technically.
Right.
But
we'll talk about a few.
Yeah. We'll go in depth on a few, but there's a lot, and most of them are talked about simply in the movie. So we're going to go probably more simple on the simple ones and more in depth with the ones that they go more in depth on, I imagine. He's the one with the structure. I'm just talking.
Right. So, and these characters spend a lot of time in their consoles, but through the power cords, they can travel to what is called Game Central Station, a play on Grand Central Station from New York. And it's a bridge across the games where all of them hang out together. They are encouraged to stay inside their consoles during working arcade hours. And that's technically like their jobs. Their jobs are in the arcade, but then they're able to travel and hang out and, I guess have a lot of crossovers with the other characters.
Which is just as a concept, is really awesome. You know what I mean? It's almost one reason why we liked the concept for the show that we're doing. You know what I mean? We also thought of a world crossover episode and wanted to make that happen. So
wow. Okay. Wait, this is so interesting. You're kind of right. What we are doing is essentially the Wreck-It Ralph experiment.
Yeah, except we've monopolized the cables.
Yeah, we've got our central ship and we are traveling to the different worlds, which are equivalent of machines. Dang, look at you. Tying it right back to the show.
You know, now that you mention it like that, in one of these, I'm going to get a pet and bring the pet with us for the rest of the show. I'm going to do something like that at some point.
Thought it could be like its own interesting episode to talk about which animals or creatures you would like to adopt through the different worlds. And we could go down to some of the best.
I'll get a tattoo from one of the worlds.
There's another question.
Oh, I'm so going to do that and plan it with my tattoo artist so that I can actually get a new tattoo on the episode day.
Right. See, these could be their own episodes if we really wanted to get creative with it. So stuff to think about.
Nice. Cool.
So there are a lot of stakes to this world and the way that these characters move through their games, because if a character is missing during the gameplay session, during standard hours, it could lead the players, the humans in the arcade, to think the game is broken because there's just a missing character. And then that console could get forever unplugged. And basically, if that happens, the characters are dead unless it were ever to get replugged in.
Yeah, it pretty much is just like they actually just killed their world. Oh no, but it can get replugged in.
Well, in theory, but if it gets taken out forever, it's gone forever. It's different than when it's out of order, because if the game gets rebooted, you're fine. You come back, you have all your same memories, nothing changes. But it's the forever unplug that you want to avoid.
I just remembered the plot of the whole first movie. Thank you.
All right, no worries.
Yeah.
So these characters are not immortal, and if they die outside of their game, they are also gone for good. It's not a situation. You only get rebooted if it happens within the frame of your console.
So it's still safer technically than where we are right now, as long as we decide that we are from a game and can live there.
I think that at least having a game to spend a lot of our time is a good idea if we are choosing to move here.
But it has to be a game company. It has to be a game that is from a company that is within the context of this.
Yes. Okay. And that's a really interesting way to kind of move on a little bit here, because you're right. If we are just talking about Wreck-It Ralph 1 and being in Litwick's arcade, we do kind of have to pick a game console that exists and is not currently unplugged within the context of the world. Now, with that said, it can get very expansive, which we will talk about afterwards. But I just want to start the discussion within the arcade, if that works for you.
Yeah, we could do that. There's a lot. There are a lot that we got to work with. And I mean, there are some of the arcade games are real too, question mark?
So, yes. Right. So you mean real as in they are actual games that people listening right now would know and could go play at a real arcade?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody listening would actually know what the games are, but yeah, they're real in our world. You could play them for real. They existed in a previous time and they were popular for old people.
Right. That is the case for many of them. I think not all of them.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
So like we have Pac-Man to start off with the very first example. And this is
that's right, he is in this one.
Right. So we have Pac-Man, but more importantly, inside the Pac-Man machine, that world is where the weekly Bad Anon support group meetings are held.
That's right.
So this is a very, very funny mechanic of the world where you need to know, if you're moving into a place like this, the role that you play in your game, kind of the way that you're written or coded, is not indicative of how you actually are outside of the game. So our main character, Ralph, that's his whole thing. He's the bad guy of this game, Fix-It Felix Jr. And that's not how he actually is. He's actually really a softie. So he attends these support sessions with other characters such as Eggman from Sonic. And
that's right.
Also Bowser is in here.
Wait a minute. How the hell did Bowser get there? Oh, no. Okay, no, Bowser worked. I think
he does.
Okay.
So he is in the Super Mario Bros. Machine that is canonically within Litwick's arcade.
Okay. All right. I'll let it slide.
And Eggman, also known as Dr. Robotnik, he's from Sonic the Hedgehog, and there is a Sonic machine in Litwick's arcade. So
right. I'm not going anywhere near that one personally. I know the Sonic fan base. I'll stick to the Mario universe. Thank you very much.
That would be an interesting episode to talk about Sonic.
No.
No, it would not? No. I disagree. I think it'd be fun.
Your microphone reminds me too much of Sonic already.
Fair enough. So very blue. Oh yeah, I hope y'all like my new microphone cover. I prefer it to how I was doing it before.
Yes.
Now, there are some other characters that I believe are from real games. Like, we have Satan from Satan's Hollow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We have Vega and Zangief from Street Fighter 2, if anybody is a Street Fighter fan.
Yeah, Ryu and Ken. I don't know. Oh, you're just talking about the people in this room.
Right, and I'll just quickly mention that there's also characters from Mortal Kombat, The House of the Dead, Eye of the Beholder, Altered Beast, and Cyborg Justice. Most games that I haven't heard about. I know Mortal Kombat. I think it's important to mention there is a slight canon breaking issue where not all of these machines are actually seen to be in Litwick's arcade. So the main ones are like Eggman and Bowser. So I feel like that's the most important, but there are kind of some randos here that we don't actually have proof of how they are connecting into this world in the first place, because you're kind of supposed to be limited to the arcade, is my understanding. Not a huge deal, but just a little bit of a break in canon, if you care about that kind of thing.
Yeah. There are probably more, too. It's a complicated world they built.
Indeed. And anyway, I just think this idea of the bad guy support group is hilarious. Really, really strong as an idea.
Yeah. Would you be at this bad guy support group, Alec?
So honestly, they seem great. I love. Binky the Ghost. One of the Pac-Man ghosts is in this group too.
I think you would not have been cast as the villain. I think you would be a Felix for sure. Mr.
Oh well, that's right, and that's what I was going to say. Is I don't think that I would be here only because I wouldn't be invited. I don't think I'm going to end up being a villain in any of these games. However, I would love to get to know all of them, because I think that from a human to human level, it turns out that me and Bowser are a lot more similar than you would have thought.
That's fair. You know, and I mean, I guess it doesn't. I haven't seen the movie in a while, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like we don't get the impression that that like, what's the guy's name? Felix?
Yeah.
I feel like we don't get the impression that Felix like doesn't like Ralph. I feel like they're fine with each other, or he likes him. Maybe, I don't know.
So
I don't remember.
You're right. So Fix-It Felix is not the anti-Ralph. He is a pretty good guy, but he's also kind of portrayed as Mr. Perfect, who he likes Ralph, but he is also secretly very comfortable with the easy life he gets to live as the hero. Yeah. So we actually, to move on to another arcade machine, there is the Fix-It Felix Jr. machine, and it's Felix, Ralph, and the Nice Landers. And they are kind of just the innocent civilians that Ralph is regularly tormenting as his character, not as himself as a human.
Yeah.
And they are regularly throwing parties with Fix-It Felix Jr. is basically the iconic hero that all of them love. But they don't want Ralph there because they're so tired of his antics, even as a video game character.
Up. But then don't we see that he is like at the party and he's like wrecking shit?
Okay, well that's part of it, is because it's not. Yeah, he does, because he's built that way a little bit. Like, he's big and burly, and he does accidentally mess a lot of things up.
But that's kind of like, this might be a crude comparison, but that's almost like somebody partying too hard at your party and breaking a bunch of your stuff and saying, but this is just how I am. They don't love me for who I am. It's like, or just be a little bit more careful. I could be wrong.
Well, I think you're onto something, though, that they understand that Ralph is supposed to serve a role in the game, but their bigger issue might actually just be he's kind of a hassle to hang out with. I think you're onto something. I got to admit.
He needs an emotional arc with a third grader, clearly.
Yes, we'll get to that. So Fix-It Felix is he's a nice character, but he is very much the guy who he has a friend that he secretly does like, but he's so concerned about his image with the rest of society that he's not willing to stand up for his friend, and is sort of happy being the charismatic one who connects the group and just quietly has a friend on the side.
That's true.
You know,
that is his.
I get it.
I like that we get that character fleshed out, though. Like, I feel like he actually has good dimensions to him when I see the movie, and that I understand why he behaves the way that he does. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, the first time I was watching it, and this is a slight spoiler if you haven't seen it, I was expecting Felix to maybe be the secret villain, and it was going to be an antithesis thing, and I was glad they did not go that route.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. Yeah, that would have been lame.
More interesting the other way. Oh, I'll also let you know. There was a place called Disney Quest in Disney World for a while. It was a big Disney arcade complex. And don't get
Ooh.
too excited because it was really bad. It needed a lot of work. It was
Isn't there an arcade in space near Space Mountain in Disneyland?
Well, that's gone too. Actually, there have been some gambling rules that have changed what you're allowed to even do in an arcade in that area.
That's facts. That's fair. Okay.
And regardless of any of it, all I was going to say is that
I want to gamble. I want to gamble. Let me spend money frivolously.
I don't. I'm very anti-gambling. We can get into that another time.
I don't like stupid gambling, but I'll bet on stuff for fun. Like
arcades.
I won't go to a casino, but I'll bet on stuff that's skill based that I think I can win, or on like the outcomes of other skill based things like sporting events or stuff like that. Which maybe is not that great, but it's a little bit better at least because you can be more informed at what you're betting on.
Remind me for you and I to have an intricate gambling conversation at some point, because I actually feel strongly about this issue.
I just think it's fun. At the end of the day, I don't think you should gamble to try to make money. I think you should just do it if you think it's fun because it spices up something. I don't think you should ever go to a casino, but like gambling, some gambling. I like betting. I like if you and I were hanging, I used to try to bet you for stuff all the time.
I know you did.
I
would lose a lot of the time.
I know. I went like 8 years without losing a bet.
You love bets.
Hey, 8 years without losing a bet's a good reason to win like bets.
I guess. So maybe I've just been scarred. And frankly, I won a decent amount of money in fantasy football for a while, but I've sworn it off.
Really?
Yes. So I get it's a little bit skill based. The reality is I just don't think that anybody should really gamble. I think that it's a really stupid way to spend your money unless you have like the healthiest relationship with it ever. And I think that's very, very hard. Maybe you're one of the exceptions, but I think that people like to think they have a healthy relationship with it when they don't. So
I feel like I've only gotten money from it and I don't do it that much. So I feel like I have a healthy relationship with it.
I'm happy for you.
Even the one time I went to a casino, I won $4.95 and I quit because I'm like, nice, I won money at a casino. How many people can say that? I'm keeping that forever.
Yes, that's good. And now you never have to go back.
Yep. And I never have.
Anyway, you mentioned a third grader that is friends with Wreck-It Ralph.
that I did.
That is Vanellope. And she comes from a place called Sugar Rush, and that is kind of a Mario Kart equivalent, where all these racers live, and the players can basically go up. They can pick their favorite candy-themed racer. It's very Japanese.
Yeah.
And it's in a fantastic...
I like this better than Mario Kart. Fun fact. Like, I think this looks nice. So the new Mario Kart, I get motion sickness from, which actually is going to be an issue for a lot of things that we'll get into for me. So this one is someone that I actually could probably be in and be less nauseous because the movie didn't make me motion sick.
Okay, good. So wait, you just mean as a world, you think that Sugar Rush is more interesting than Mario Kart?
Yeah, actually, I do that too. Like, I know some people might think that's crazy because, like, Mario, it's the Mario world. Maybe it's just because I've played the games to death. But I feel like maybe it's just because I know it better, and the idea of these courses being unexplored is fun to me. Because the thing is, if I was in the Mario video game, then pretty much the only worlds I have access to are the ones that you can play, right?
Yep.
And I've already explored every inch of those as the gamer. So,
okay, I understand that.
I think for me, part of it is that, like, oh, there's this cool, like, candy world in some maps, and, like, there's all these weird landscapes, and I feel like there's so much more to explore in that game, You're
right. So Sugar Rush on its own is just interesting as a world. This is the one that I kind of want to stop down on and be like, all right, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because it is this fantastic kingdom made entirely of sweets, candies, confections, and it has kind of a lot of layers to it. There's different courses that you can run within. So if you're there, you're probably going to be in a car racing around, which could be fun, especially if
I like driving.
If you just get rebooted anytime you fall off a course or something. That's not so bad.
Yeah, if you love car racing, that is a sick world to be in.
Yeah,
sure.
You've got a candy cane forest with Laffy Taffy vines, Taffy Swamp, and Nesquik Sand Pit, stuff like that.
Yeah, I assume there's no diabetes in this game, so you can eat all you want.
Well, yes, and it's probably a relief because there is Diet Cola Mountain.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, that's an active volcano with the shape of a soda bottle.
There's no running water in this world, but
well, don't. I guess, do you need running water if you're a video game character?
No, you don't. You can just consume soda for health points.
Wow, that's interesting. You're right. And then Sugar Rush Castle, there's a big castle. So it's kind of a kingdom. There's a lot of cool, sweet themed areas. I think this would be hella cool, especially knowing that it's just one place that I could visit out of many. Sign me up.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one's good. I would if we're talking about living there and the home-based game is the one that you're safe in, I would consider this for the home base game.
Nice. Okay. I want to circle back to Fix It Felix because I should at least mention those parties that happen. They are part of this huge, awesome, beautiful mansion that is sort of you see the interior during the parties, but if you're playing the game, you just see the outside, which is a building that Wreck-It Ralph is kind of causing trouble on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention that Disney Quest, this former video game area in Disney, had an actual Fix It Felix machine, actually many of them. So this game was created for the film, but they have created real machines, and it is now a real arcade game that you can play in certain places.
That's awesome! I love that.
And it's very fun. It's a good game.
Nice. Did you play it?
Yeah, definitely.
Where?
At Disney Quest back when it was still there, but it's gone now.
That's so funny. Nice.
So I don't know where else you can find it now outside of where it was at Disney, but
oh my God.
It's,
I wonder
it's
if
very classic.
I wonder how much money it would take to get one in my house.
Probably a lot. I feel like it's one of the harder ones to come by. I could be wrong.
It'd be so cool.
Yeah, and I also think I should just note that it's similar to Donkey Kong if you're interested in playing games like that.
I mean,
all right,
all of those games are on the Switch. There's like a bunch of N64 games you can play on the Switch.
True. We also have Tappers, and that is a game that's set in a bar. I think this is a real one. Have you ever played the game where you have to like go down and you send mugs to the customers, and then they drink their beer, and then they send the mugs back to you, and you have to go down the line, catch the mugs, and send more?
Actually, I've been playing it a lot lately because it's Slushy Slinger for Neopets in the Altador Cup, and I still play Neopets. My user lookup is KABABLE. If you want to find me, anybody, if you have a Neopets account, friend me on Neopets. If you watch the channel, I'll be your friend on Neopets. It's the only way that I'll be your friend.
Awesome. And I should mention, we used to play this in an old Scooby-Doo PC game that we had when we were younger.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a mini game that's within that. So that's how I know it.
Yeah.
But it's cool. If you're living in this universe, this is a place where a lot of the characters will go after hours to have drinks. And, you got your bartender Tapper. And honestly, it's just a cool, chill bar to hang out at. So you've got that for you as well.
I'm going to find one of those Scooby-Doo PC games later.
Yeah, I ended up playing the other ones that we didn't have, and the one we had, the Black Knight, was definitely the best, but the other ones are not bad.
I'm so glad you reminded me of the title. All right,
you got it.
Pulling that up for later, sorry.
No, please. And then you've got Hero's Duty. This is the other one that we kind of see fleshed out, because there's this character, Sergeant Calhoun, that is played by Jane Lynch. And it's kind of just a military game. So it's got like, this military group on their mission to eliminate an army of robotic insects called cybugs. And it's kind of this barren, ravaged landscape with a surface that's kind of metallic. I guess you could maybe think
generic Call of Duty Halo, yeah.
Yeah, Halo-ish. I have no interest in even touching this if I was visiting. But it is the other one that we see in a little bit more detail, so I thought it would be worth mentioning.
Even if you like games like Call of Duty, come on, guys, for this theory, I'm pretty sure your idea is not going to be, you know what I want to live in? A war where everyone's constantly shooting each other and blowing each other up with grenades. I don't think that's the one, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather not leave my game with PTSD.
I do want to mention other arcade machines that are inside Litwick's Arcade. And what I'm going to do here, because there are quite a few, stop me if you want to talk about one of them, okay?
Okay.
Undead Apocalypse 3.
Okay, just that one. I hope I won't. That just sounds crazy. Why is that the first one you read? Undead Apocalypse. Is it just a zombie game, honestly?
Well, so I'm going to be honest. I did not even bother diving deep. I figure I either know these games or I don't, and I'm not going to try to learn. Especially because we only see that they exist. We don't even get to go inside them or see what's really going on there. So again, there's a lot. So you're welcome to try to look it up for some more information, but I just have a pretty good feeling that I would not be checking out Undead Apocalypse 3 if I was there.
Oh yeah, it's just a zombie game.
Great.
Nah, I don't care.
Frogger. I want to stop down actually on Frogger.
That's so.
I love Frogger.
You're just a frog who's avoiding traffic.
Okay, and I do hate the idea of needing to avoid traffic, but I love frogs.
Yeah,
I think that this has come up before on the podcast before.
Yeah, it has. You've worn a frog onesie like 10 plus times.
Oh, that's right, the finale onesies. Rest in peace to the reaction days.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I would love to meet Frogger. I don't think that I would want to participate in his game, but I wanted to say that.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Food fight. Space Invaders.
Whoa, wait. Is this like Food Fight, like the horrible movie Food Fight? Like
I don't think that is where the movie comes from. I think that this is an old arcade game called Food Fight that's pretty much just exactly what it sounds like.
Okay. I was like, if it's a reference to that game or to that movie, it's literally, somebody's detailing the outside of my thing right now, so it's going to be loud.
Interesting. Okay. So y'all might hear a little bit of sweeping.
Yeah.
We'll just pretend that it's the Wreck-It Ralph glitch that is inside one of the game consoles, and Lou is being infiltrated.
I don't know if it's sweeping or if they're tearing up the wall and replacing it, so hopefully it won't be that loud.
All right. Well, everybody has been properly warned at this point.
Yeah.
So, Space Invaders.
Oh, classic.
It is classic.
Love Space Invaders.
I don't know what that looks like going into the Space Invaders game.
It's the thing where you shoot like the waves of,
I know what it is.
Oh,
I know what it is, but I mean, what does that look like to be inside this universe and explore Space Invaders?
Yeah, that's
like,
a good
are you an
question.
alien? Are you? I mean, I guess some of them are aliens.
I think you're either the ship, like the main character of the game, or you're one of the waves of aliens that's getting blown up fighting them. Right.
That's true.
Which would
and if we
probably
learned
not
anything,
be great,
yeah, if we learned anything from the Fix-It Felix Jr. machine, I feel like it's not that great to be the pawns that are there for the main character to just blow through. I feel like that's exhausting.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like the most. I feel like being in an endurance game would suck for your life. That's literally that's that Greek thought experiment that people always do. The one with pushing up the boulder. You know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
and just the exhaustion of that.
Yeah, that would be your whole life if you were in a game
Brutal.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. I want to save some of that for the closing discussion too. I think that the role that you play in this world is fascinating.
I agree. That's the tough part for me. Continue.
Battle Zone.
Okay.
Dig Dug.
Okay.
Fatal Assault.
Wow.
Agent X.
Ooh, I wonder what that's like.
Altered Beast.
Ooh, I'm gonna see if I could find that one. You keep going though.
Okay. District 51.
Ooh.
Finish Line.
Oh my god, Altered Beast is actually a Sega game. And it's
interesting.
It's like Mortal Kombat kind of, but it looks like you can play as different human animal hybrids.
Okay, that sounds kind of interesting.
It actually looks kind of interesting. There's interesting looking maps. It doesn't look so bad. I'm intrigued. If you were from this game, then it looks like you could be a really buff werewolf or like fish person or dragon or something.
That could be interesting.
So
let's keep that on the radar. All right.
All right.
Joust. Could be a medieval person maybe. Poop Jams.
You say poop jams?
No. Hoop Jams, the basketball game.
Your mic did a pop sound before that.
Yeah, well, all right. Just to confirm, everybody, it's a basketball game. Calm down.
Way better to not. Basketball is fun, is a sport, but I can do that in this world, so not that interesting.
Absolutely. We have Dance Dance Revolution X2 and Dance Central 3.
Awesome choices. Also,
These could be good.
Apparently, in the game Joust, you're jousting on an ostrich. So,
All right, I want to meet the ostrich. I think that would be
you
cool.
know, I felt like that was worth noting because that's a little different. That sounds a little more fun. So
that is a little different.
Yeah.
The idea of being in a DDR game, Dance Dance Revolution, I think is kind of interesting. You could probably have a lot of fun with that.
You're telling me my life could just be challenging noobs to dance? I could be the like expert AI that's really good.
You could. I'm not a very good dancer or would want to be in this game, so I think it's not high on my list. But
That's
for
high
you,
on
it could be
my
good.
list. That sounds really cool. That's high
Good.
on my list.
We have Virtual Cop. Nah, pass.
Nah, yeah, no.
Primal Rage.
Cool. It's probably like a dinosaur game. Whatever the dinosaur game is, I like that one.
Okay, yeah, you should see what this one is, because if it is a dinosaur game, then that confirms that dinosaurs are another option in terms of a place that you could explore here. Even if you didn't live there, you could check it out.
This is another fighting game. Is this Capcom 2? No, this is not Capcom. This is another fighting game, though, just like Mortal Kombat, like the 2D box, you know, walking at each other ones. What's it called? Traditional fighter. And it looks like this one's more dinosaurs and maybe a couple like Ice Age monkeys.
Oh, okay. So you actually could have. Okay, so dinosaurs are in the world, confirmed.
Yeah,
Great. That's what we need to know.
Looks like Stonehenge is a map, which actually doesn't make any sense for dinosaurs to be there, but that's okay.
But you could check out Stonehenge by living in the Wreck-It Ralph universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like
I'll
there's
take that.
some cool like Greek ruins in the back of some of these maps too. So it looks like there's like a dinosaur world, an Antarctic one. You could be an ankylosaur. Okay, this is actually lit. This is crazy.
Well, see, do you know what's amazing about this, though? We didn't even know what this game was, and I was going to gloss right over it. And you just listed 4 unique places just within that world alone that are immediately opened by the option of us living here.
That's true.
Like, there's so much you can do.
There's a cool jungle and waterfall. Not to mention you're engaging in dinosaur martial arts. You know, I just realized how silly the gameplay to this game must look. Because I see two, like, I'm looking at pictures, so I just see 2 dinosaurs with their tiny ass arms, like, facing each other on the screen. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, kick, tail slap. You know what I mean? It probably looks a little awkward, especially in the old one. But you could engage in dinosaur martial arts for your life. And like low-key being like the hardest, you know, imagine being the top ranked dinosaur in that game. You're like, yeah, I'm a black belt in T-Rex martial arts.
Well, what's funny about, or I guess not funny about this,
that's crazy,
but interesting, is that you have this game that is a fighting game that normally I'd be like, oh, I don't want to touch that. You know, I'm not interested in fighting, but I could visit it. And
you could visit.
Maybe that would be worth it. So there are the other fighting games you mentioned. There is Mortal Kombat. There is Street Fighter 1 and 2.
Yes. Yep.
Again, if you're going, I think you're probably going for the maps and maybe certain characters if you were a fan of those things.
Or if you like martial arts for real, I could see you wanting to go to all of these games just like Terry does in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and among other fighting games that Terry Bogard is a part of. Terry is from Street Fighter. You know, I'm just saying, if I got into like mixed martial arts, or if I got really good at like capoeira, it would be really sick for me to actually go to all of these things and fight all these martial artists. You know what I mean? Especially ones that are skilled in dinosaur martial arts.
Sure, and depending on what you end up being in this world, that could be, there's a lot of different skills that you could maybe acquire in order to participate in a lot of different things. So something to keep in mind.
And like, I like that the movie does clarify that we don't have to necessarily visit each world in the context of the game. Like, you could just go there and hang out with the people. That's very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's not operating all the time. You know, you use your off time to explore the casual nature of it. How cool is that?
And
God, this concept.
It's still a Disney movie too, so like I can assume that I'm not gonna like walk up to one of these dinosaurs from the game and they're just gonna want to kill me for no reason. They all seem like they're all fairly civilized characters. You know what I mean?
Okay, actually, that is something though that you would probably learn the more that you spent time there.
That's fair.
Because it is not a given that every character is good, which we're going to talk about.
That's fair. But I mean, we see Bowser in like a villain's awareness, whatever it is.
We do. But honestly, I'll just get into this now. we also have the main villain of the movie, and that is again, I don't want to spoil anything because there is a bit of a reveal.
Yeah, there is
but
a reveal.
there is kind of this virus, and he's a rogue character who violates the arcade's laws for a selfish agenda. That's how they think of viruses in this world.
The reveal's actually good too. Like, I actually was surprised when I saw it. I was like, "Oh, that's a good twist." I like it.
So yeah, there's this character in a cart in Sugar Rush, which is Turbo, and he's just like this angry little car driver, and is considered. And that's not the spoiler, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's corrupt due to programming and code errors. And interestingly, the world of Heroes Duty, that's where cybugs come from. And they are responsible for some of what happens to the viruses. So you see this one game has implications on another game because these characters are constantly interacting. So it's like catching a cold from a different game or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Turbo is malicious, and you've got to know that there is a chance that in some of these games, a bunch of them will be like Bowser and Eggman, where it turns out that they're really nice in truth, but there could be some that are just mean.
Well, I'm gonna believe that these dinosaurs are really cool, because that's what I want.
I glossed over I skipped over some of the more interesting ones on purpose because I kind of wanted to get them all at once.
Okay.
Pong, just worth noting. Pong is a historic game. You couldn't do much.
There aren't even characters in that game. You would just show up to play tennis.
I bet the ping pong ball is alive in this universe. That's what I choose to believe.
Well, then that guy's got a rough life. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, pretty monotonous. And Super Mario Bros. And Sonic, we mentioned both of them. It's technically Sonic the Fighters is the arcade game that it shows up in.
Oh. I don't
Any
care
interest?
about Sonic.
That's all right. I mean, I would explore though.
I don't like how the Sonic worlds have ever looked. I've never really liked how any of the games played, to be honest. I've played a lot of Sonic games. I've never liked a Sonic game I played.
I think being a character like Sonic and being able to run so fast that you like go upside down, that sounds kind of cool.
That's true. I mean, Sonic is one of the most broken characters canonically in the entire world of gaming. Right. So, yeah, being a Sonic character is potentially very hype. I'll give you that.
Now, visiting it would be okay. I actually think a lot of the landscapes are interesting, but I think you're missing out on a lot if you're not a hedgehog, truth be told.
I don't know how Sonic works. You mean like there are other species that it would suck to be in the world?
Well, I mean that we're going to be somebody who can move freely between machines. So if we go to the Sonic universe, we may...
You could choose to just be a Sonic character that goes other places, though, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something that you could do. But if you decide that you want to be like, I don't know, Mario.
Yo, we should. Okay, sorry, side tangent, but I'm keeping this one because it's fun. We should actually watch the Sonic Adventures like TV show, because there is a Sonic cartoon, and I've actually heard it's not that bad, and we should talk about it.
Oh, okay. So look who's changing his tune and decides that he wants to watch Sonic after.
That's the cartoon.
All.
Well, because then that cartoon is fair game for us to talk about, and that's different. See, the video games make me sick. They all make me motion sick. I know there's a few 2D ones that I could play, but all the ones that are 3D make me super motion sick, so I can't play any of them. And I wouldn't want to be in those worlds for that reason too.
I am interested in digging into one of the campier Sonic shows and potentially watching that down the road.
Yes.
Super Mario Bros. I do think would be a fun console to visit too. Who hasn't dreamed of being part of that?
Well, I mean, probably a lot of people. The world is like, it's not exactly a welcoming world. There's kind of stuff that can damage you literally everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not going to dig too far into this one. I think in the future we may talk about the Super Mario movie that came out and really dig into this. But I've always loved Nintendo, and if I was in the Wreck-It Ralph universe, I would be checking this out for sure.
Since we're talking about this episode today, I'm just going to say we might just straight up cover games in the future every once in a while.
I think we've teased that, and I thought this episode would be a good way to slowly introduce that idea too.
Yeah, because I mean, what's your favorite video game ever, all time?
Ace Attorney.
Yeah, everybody let us know in the comments what yours are, because I want to know what our people are into. Maybe we're all into the same thing. Wait, Ace Attorney, the series? That's what you said?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Nice. I
no
like that.
question.
Nice. Nice.
I
That's
love
good.
it so much.
I
And
remember
also
playing those with you.
it's almost like an animated show the way that it moves because it's a
Yeah.
visual novel.
Yeah,
And it's
totally.
great. Awesome characters. Love
Minus
that game
Smash
series.
Bros. Probably Pokemon is a close second.
Yeah, Pokemon's second for me too.
Yeah. And then some of the Digimon. Actually, Digimon World 1 might be technically my favorite game ever. Specifically, Digimon World 1 is my favorite game. It's not the one I play all the time, but it's my favorite.
Yeah. I do have fond memories, and I loved Next Order, the reboot that they did of it. I
Yeah.
know you were a little bit less high on it, but
I was less high.
I played it. I played it all during COVID, or most of it, and it was one of my favorite gaming experiences ever. But we're also Digimon kids, so don't.
Yeah. And I would like to note that Pokemon and Digimon are not actually on the list of games that are shown in this, so I'm going to say that they are not on the table for discussion for this.
Right. And I think that is an unfortunate aspect that we are only able to move into the universe that we see. We can't just make up and pretend like something's there if it may not be.
I think
and that makes this a little bit hard.
I did say Game Company earlier, and technically Nintendo is there, but I'll more strictly say we're limited to the games that we see there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Tron is here. I would check out Tron just to race and
you know what?
Well, actually though, I just realized you have to be careful about just going into another game and racing, because if you die somewhere that's not your own game, I don't believe that you get rebooted. So you can't just do that.
Dude, I would just go. I'll bet Tron is where the raves are happening, and I would just go to the Tron world and party with all the video game characters that are in the adult section.
Yep, I think that makes some sense.
Yeah.
Look, Disney has a Tron ride that I think is okay. It's very fast, very short.
Really? Is that the big roller coaster that looked so hype that they were building?
It is. Don't get me wrong. It is fun. It's just fast. Like it's over very quickly. But I do.
Okay. Well,
I like the Tron vibes. Is all I'm trying to say. I do think it's kind of fun.
I think the Tron vibes are fine. If there was a Tron rave, I would go to a Tron rave. Actually, I probably wouldn't. I'm just saying that. I don't actually go to raves anymore. But when I was 18, I would have gone to a Tron rave.
There's also Dragon's Lair, which is that game that I've never figured out how to play, where you go up and it kind of walks you through an animated sequence, and you're supposed to maybe do something with the controllers, and you can never figure out what it is. Look this up, everybody, if you are not familiar with what I'm talking about.
You've tried to play this and you haven't been able to?
Because it doesn't actually tell you what you're doing. It basically just goes through cutscenes, and you're supposed to move the controllers through the cutscenes.
Yeah, I've seen this game. Yeah, I know this game.
It is also an 80s cartoon. It was adapted for that because it looks like a cartoon, the whole thing.
It does.
The game itself is designed that way. I would love to go here. And again, in theory, this is a conversation we could have for a future episode. I don't know how many people know about the Dragon's Lair 80s show.
Wow.
But hey, this would give my Dragon Medieval kick if this is where you want to go in that universe. I will
say, we are pretty far into this episode and we don't have far to go. So we should we do still have far to go. So we should probably zoom through these next ones.
Good call. There's only one left, and it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice! The fighting game?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
you could live in the
if
sewer
you ever
with
wanted...
a bunch of mutant turtles.
That's right. Again, I want to table that conversation too, because I think it's probably on the table to talk about TMNT at some point.
Yeah, that's very popular shows.
So, yep, if you want to check that out and meet those people, you can do it. All right. So, with all of that said, as of Wreck-It Ralph 1, these are the only arcade machines that we know about and all that we can visit. And frankly, even if you factor in Wreck-It Ralph 2, we are only allowed to move to the places that we have seen. So, these are the arcade machines. These are your options. We would not be able to go farther. Is there an arcade machine you wish was there?
Ooh, that's a good question. Do you have an answer prepared? Because I might have to think about it a second.
You know, it's funny. I actually don't really. I guess Donkey Kong, just because I love that arcade machine. It's a classic game, and I think it's interesting that it's not there, but we do have Super Mario Bros. I feel like Donkey Kong should be in this universe.
That's fair. They probably couldn't afford Donkey Kong. That one's an expensive one. The original.
Yeah,
game.
I mean, they already went with Bowser. Maybe they had to pick one Mario character to actually put on screen.
They went with the more iconic one for the modern scene.
Yeah.
I would probably add the Jurassic Park first of all ride. You know, or not ride. The you know, the one, the shooting one.
Sure. Just to get more dinosaurs, the Jurassic Park world into the mix.
Just to get just to get Isle New Bar on there, because I'm pretty sure that it was the Lost World game, the one I'm thinking of. Maybe there's a Jurassic Park and a Lost World one. But then I would also want one of the pinball games. Does that work? Is pinball not a video game? Can I not even count that?
That's a great question. I don't think pinball
there are no characters.
Counts. Well, there can be on the screen sometimes. Like they have cutscenes that they do.
Yeah, but I don't have any I don't have any pinball machines that I remember that have those.
Pinball. That'd be a whole nother talk. So I feel like we got
pinball. So I love pinball, but I guess I can't talk about my love of pinball today. That's okay. I can't think of any others. No.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. And look, this would be very fun. So we're going to move on to the next part of the discussion. I don't think we really need to get into the weeds here. I think that the bigger conversation is just Wreck-It Ralph 2 happens, they get access to Wi-Fi, and there is an entire host of websites and the entire internet that connects them to everything around the world. And suddenly, this little arcade that they've been in opens up, and they can basically go anywhere. We are only limited to what we see on the show or on the movie. Yeah. And I think a lot of the places they visit are not that interesting. We see eBay. Great.
Yeah.
If you want to go shopping. We see something that is the search bar, and that is just a search engine that you can do a lot with. And that's really cool.
You could do a lot with that, audience.
You definitely could. With that said, though, again, we only know what we see on screen. Stop. There is a game that Vanellope really likes, which is called Slaughter Race. It's a much more dangerous and intense version of the game she already is in with Sugar Rush.
She would. She would go and not be able to respawn.
Yeah, dangerous as hell. Then you've got like a mobile game called Pancake Milkshake. Don't think too hard about it.
That's pretty concerning for the search bar too. I wouldn't go too far to that.
Okay, fair enough. Then there's the dark net, which is a seedy underground place located in the depths of the internet.
The dark net is canonically part of this? What the fuck?
Yes, and yes, there's so many other internet sites that we will never get access to. I know. And it happens. So basically, websites go defunct and they end up in the dark net. And there's all kinds of shady characters that reside there. There's limited access.
That's what they mean by the dark net. That is not the dark net that I thought you were talking about.
Well, okay, but it's implied that it is that, to be honest. It's very grungy and very like, whoa, this is the dark web. Yeah.
This is where you go to get things that you...
Well, I mean... I think that they explain around it by being like, oh, this is where websites go to die, but it's implied that it's like what you.
Oh, those websites are not dead. Those are not dead websites.
Yeah, well, I see what you mean. Well, hey, technically they're not dead in the dark net either. Then you have the older net, which is like a dirty and dusty site in the internet. It's got like holes and sewers. And
that's the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, well, I think if you're there for 10 minutes, you're basically deleted or something like that.
Whoa, okay. That's not the Wayback Machine. That is the opposite of the Wayback Machine.
Right. There's also an antivirus district, which is a mall of websites that are virus-free. And that's like Pinterest, Google, YouTube. It's got a firewall that surrounds it that deletes and removes viruses as they come in. So that's kind of a fun concept.
Wow, I wish that's how that worked. That's where we get all of our viruses from. What the hell, Disney?
Yeah. And speaking of Disney, we do see the Oh My Disney website. And I think this is very funny. There's a lot of like princesses that show up there and Disney characters.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember?
I remember.
And it's very Disney-fied. Of course, I would love this. And it does confirm that I could meet all of these Disney characters there. I feel like Oh My Disney is a very weird choice of the website to go with. Because it's just like, it's a fan site. It's not created by Disney. There's nothing that actually makes this official. And yet there are characters that inhabit it. So, I don't know. If I were making the creative choice, I think I might have gone with the Disney Parks blog or the official Disney Parks website, or I don't know. Something that makes it feel a little bit less knockoffy and less like these characters are not real versions of
Apparently,
real
the
ones.
interior of the room is modeled after the convention floor of a D23 Expo.
Okay, that's actually really, really awesome. So you're getting me with that. I love the
That's so
D23
dumb.
Expo.
I wish
Uh,
I'd made that up. I wish that was a lie that I just said to get you excited. It's true. I just read it off the website. Well,
Again,
okay, I read it on a
incredible.
fandom. I read it off the fandom wiki, so that might not be true, but they say it's true.
Incredible Easter egg. I'm going to name off very quickly all of the other confirmed websites in the internet just so that you know what your options are.
Okay.
Don't give me comments until I actually read through the whole list because there's a lot.
Okay.
Um,
I'll just give facial
Snapchat.
expressions.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you're a YouTube watcher, you're getting this.
Yeah.
Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Subscribe. Okay. Sorry, that was an important one.
Twitter. Or I guess it was Twitter. Yeah. Google. Carvana.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a car site. MySpace, old school.
That should be in the dead
House.
place.
You said you were just getting
Sorry,
facial
all right.
expressions.
I don't know I don't know what that should be in the dead space should look like. Oh.
Stop. That's enough. I gotta get a spray bottle for you. House party.
What's that for?
Sino Weibo.
No, I'm not doing it.
TripAdvisor. Pinterest. Netgear. ESPN. National Geographic. Meetic. Spotify.
Oh, that's a good one.
Purple.
What's it called?
IMDb.
Oh, yeah.
App Store. Amazon.
Boo, we fucking hate them. Sorry.
Cisco.
I think we hate them too. Do we hate them? I don't remember.
I don't know. Movie Star Plus. 24-hour Photoshop.
There are a lot more of these than I was expecting.
Rise and Shine Inn. La Casita Inn.
Oh, we like them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, two random inns. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, two random ins.
You've got the social media district, which probably has some that we mentioned.
Yeah, that's also known as a dumpster fire.
Kickstarter.
Nice.
Reddit.
Awful.
Tumblr.
Used to be great. Now it's probably awful.
Skype. Instagram. Fandango. We're almost there.
I love Fandango.
Yeah, great.
Oh my god, I'll bet they put that in there as a plug for the movie theater, like, companies.
Oh,
because
okay,
Fandango is always plugged in those ads at the beginning of movie theater. Sorry, continue.
Wikipedia.
They
and
serve necessary evil.
McDonald's. Whoo!
Unnecessary evil. I hate McDonald's.
All right. So now knowing what all of your website choices are, I want to get to the grander discussion.
Yeah.
Is living in the internet a good idea?
Terrible. Nope.
Absolutely not. He would just stick with the arcade.
It's literally a terrible idea. I mean, I feel like just having the internet on my phone is too much access to information for the average human being. You know what I mean? Being able to physically go everywhere, I feel like that's just too much connection. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. Truly.
It has its limits. And I was thinking about this as we were preparing the episode. This is so interesting. Why would I choose to have a more constrained environment versus one that is less constrained, that you can literally go anywhere?
I mean, you can. That's not. I don't think that's true because you can't. You know what you can do on the internet? You have Google Earth. That is the best Earth that you get. That is the closest you'll get to touching grass again. That's the closest you'll get to having a fresh glass of water, or you know, having a hug from a friend that you love in real skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if you're in certain video games, you may get more of that than if you're...
Yeah, that's true. If you're in Skyrim, you'll get better grass than you would in
Skyrim, though, not canonical in the Wreck-It Ralph universe, as far as we know.
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, for me, it's still like, you're still in the game. You know, like even in universe, you're in the game. It's not like, because like we're always talking about cartoons. You're never gonna have the same like obviously experience as a live action person, right? But that's not what I mean. I mean like even in the context of the world, you are in a game, and so you have game functions for your life, you know? And I
Hmm.
think that that means that you would be sacrificing so many things that I love about being a biological person. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, does that also hurt just the first version of this, like being a video game character for you?
A little bit. Well, yes, but not as much because when you have when well, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter cuz the thing about being a video game character and it being limited to video game worlds feels a little different because it's like when the whole internet's out there, that means that not only do you have the whole access to the internet, the whole internet has access to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is a greater conversation too about is it a good thing that we have the entire internet at our disposal in our pockets right now?
Oh, I mean,
And if
I don't love it. I don't love that anybody can figure out like a ton of stuff about me just by getting my like I it's so easy, like identity theft is such a problem and stuff like that, and it's so easy because of the internet. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Scams are so easy because of the internet. I think that the unregulated expansion of the internet is something that has created so many incredibly complicated and interesting problems for humanity that it's mind-blowing. It'll be studied for generations.
Yeah, I've thought about just going to a flip phone, but there's actual like functions. Like I need an authenticator app to work.
Yeah,
So,
that's
you know,
right.
there's so many different things. Like when you really break it down and you think about what you would actually lose at this point
Oh
with
yeah.
where society has gone by unplugging, it's tricky.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, if you had the ability to move to the Wreck-It Ralph universe in Litwick's arcade, and you had the option, I have access to Wi-Fi or I don't. Do you allow the Wi-Fi to even be there? Or do you eliminate the option to ever leave?
You know me, I can't eliminate the option. I can't do
I
that.
know that's how I feel too. I want to say yes, I'll cut myself
Oh,
off. And
you'd
'cause it's
eliminate the option tomorrow. You totally would eliminate the option.
well, okay. I wish that I could. I wish that I was stronger than that, but
Nah, you would.
I would like to say that I could because the arcade on its own already can take you to 25 different, totally different areas. Some of which maybe are more dangerous than others. You got to be careful not to die, which I guess is always true.
Yeah.
But I think that knowing that I could have access to the Wi-Fi could be potentially appealing because there are maybe, and this is always my problem, right? I think about it's just one site that I want to make sure that I can check out, but then one site becomes a lot of sites, and I feel like opening yourself to the internet, literally, knowing that you have the whole thing at your disposal, it's impossible to just go to one place. It's almost like gambling. To tie it back around, like
It's
it's an
not
addiction to me.
anything. So this is okay. To tie back my philosophy from all that. You're right, it kind of is. Anything can be addictive, right?
Hmm.
And some people have different abilities when it comes to self-control. And some people, those abilities are not good because they don't practice them. And some people, those abilities aren't good because of biologically predisposition bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But for one reason or another, everybody has some level of addictive tendencies that they can get into for anything, you know, whatever it is. I am somebody who has definitely shown stronger addictive tendencies in my life. And so having Wi-Fi is akin to me just deciding to use it all the time.
Right. And that's what I'd be afraid of too. Is like by leaving it there, do you just end up using it all? And so this is the first time that I've ever talked about a world as potentially being too expansive. Because a lot of the places that you're going to go may not be good for you, and you know that you can go anywhere. It's not like choosing to travel in our world, where you're going to lots of beautiful places, and there can't really be too much. You know, you are always experiencing something new and fruitful and having new experiences.
And
The internet could.
I have some
It
major
could.
questions about how some of the internet works too, because
Yeah.
like that search bar up there, how exactly does that work if you're in the computer? Because I know that if I go to the search bar and I Google Paris, I can find a picture of Paris. If you go to the search bar, do you go to Paris? Do you go to that picture? Or do you see it in like a hall of photos that are coming up from the search? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to a website, it just like if I go to Neopets, do I get to be in the world of Neopets? That feels like something where the world exists there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I wish Neopets was on the list. I think
Right?
that would totally change the
That'd be
equation
sick.
for you.
It would. But if I went to a forum site, are there people walking around or are they messages? And am I reading people's messages, human beings, or are there there probably aren't characters making messages on forum sites. You're probably just reading real people contacting each other through the forum site, right?
Yep.
So
what? And let me just add, we are still limited to the websites that exist in this world if we choose to move there. And that's actually a pretty big red flag.
Well, and I'm just talking hypothetically too, you know?
I know. And I am too. I am too, because I do think that we have to assume that there would certainly be a lot of websites that are not on this list that would be there. Like, I think that's safe to say. You know, you're going into the internet. Sure. It's going to be super expansive. There's all of these cameos, which we haven't even gotten into.
God, you have no idea how many jokes I've been refraining from making this whole episode.
That's fine.
This is the internet. The whole internet's worth of jokes.
Yeah, I know.
Rule 34's amount of jokes. There have been 34 at least jokes that I could have told. That's a good one.
But honestly, like, I think I would consider moving to Litwick's Arcade, potentially with access to Wi-Fi, and accepting that, okay, I just got to be really careful if I decide to go out there. But I don't have to go out there. Like, I do have the self-control to not go.
You might. I don't know if you do. You've got a little bit of that. You got a little bit of that addict dog in you. I see it.
Well, I do. Again, I can't say that I am not somebody who can sometimes spend too much time on my phone. I do think I'm way better than 95% of people. I will give myself credit.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tactics that I use to stay away from it, but it would be hard to know, oh, I can just go to Oh My Disney today. So let me go over to the Wi-Fi and let me go to that website, interact with the characters. But that's really the only website on the whole list that I'm like, oh, I really want to go there. Maybe ESPN or Spotify, but like, what does that even look like?
That's what I mean. So, like, if I go to ESPN, does that mean I'm just going to where it's not like real athletes are going to be there. You know what I mean? They're in this world where we are. They're not going to be like virtual. So it's just got to be a represent. And actually, you know, now that we talk about it, they don't actually address how real life is virtually portrayed. You know what I mean?
They sort of skirt around it. They're like, the websites are here, but we're not going to show you inside because we don't want to think that hard about it.
Yeah, like,
I think that's the right choice.
Well, and it makes you wonder, because, like, I don't think Ralph should be able to go to Instagram. That doesn't really make sense, does it? You know what I mean?
No, I see what you mean.
Like, can he make a profile? There's, I mean,
actually, I do think that, yeah, there is a part of the movie where they make a profile, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
shit.
So that is possible.
What do I know? Stupid me. Of course. Of course they can.
But yeah, no, I do think it's interesting that in theory you do have a lot of choices, but
that does make sense. No, actually, it's just data. If you if I messaged you on a forum site, technically a character online could show up in the forum site. I think that would destroy people, but no, I suppose that's possible. Okay, I allow it. Makes sense.
Great. I think that we have established what this is and what it's not.
Yeah.
Do you just want to mention any? Because there's like 100 cameos in Wreck-It Ralph. I'm not going to bother even trying to rattle them all off.
So many.
But there are a lot of characters that you all, audience, probably really like that you might be interested in hanging out with. So it might be a reason that you would want to move to this world. Were there any that stuck out to you that you're like, oh, I would really like to interact with this character if I had a chance?
Well, so the list that I have doesn't exactly say if like there are characters in it or if there are just references. So like
That's fair.
I saw one that said there was a character, and then I saw on another website that it was actually just a picture of the character, and the character wasn't actually in it. I'm like, okay, that actually makes a big difference. So just take these with a grain of salt is all I'm saying.
Sure.
So the Triforce was referenced from Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
Zelda's awesome. I love that. I just wanted to let you know that the Glockenspiel from It's a Small World is in this film.
I saw that. That is freaking cool. And it's alive. I could talk to it. So that's a big point in the favor of moving here.
They do say that the 1983 Star Wars arcade game can be seen in a wide view of Litwick's Arcade. So technically
That's cool.
that does mean that Star Wars is also on the table for something that we can play. They also say that Lucasfilm and LucasArts, like, Star Wars stuff is referenced in several times throughout the movie, which means I think Star Wars games are also probably on the table.
Yeah, so there is a Star Wars arcade cabinet, but it's apparently like unplugged, so technically not active in the universe.
Oh, is that how you're playing it?
Yeah, that's how they get around
So
it.
so are we saying that we can play Star Wars games? Like, can I go play Star Wars? I guess if the Wi-Fi's on, maybe.
Well, Disney didn't own Star Wars when this movie came out, but it did by the second one. So take that as you will.
This list is from both, so I don't know. I don't know when they came.
Right, I don't know. Yeah, so if you look up the list of cameos, you're going to see that they just combine everything into one, so you can't actually differentiate between the two games.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sonic references, Street Fighter, Ryu and Ken, I think is cool. Let's see. Yeah, we got Pac-Man. You said Space Invaders.
Yeah.
The red exclamation point was referenced from Metal Gear Solid, which I just remember the reference, and that was pretty cool.
Okay, that means nothing to me, but I'm sure some people love that.
You know Metal Gear, right? Snake? Solid Snake?
Right. I mean, I know that he's from Super Smash Brothers, but I know literally nothing else.
Oh, okay. I think that's the only one that I care. Those are the only ones that I care about.
Okay, that's actually less than I would have expected. See, I care about every Disney character, and there are a ton of Disney character cameos. They're everywhere because that's the cheapest.
Those aren't extra games, though. You know, I'm just
True,
thinking about
but
extra games. There's a ton of
some
Disney
of them
characters I'd want to meet, but
some of them come up through the internet, so that would be an option if I did decide that I wanted to be connected to Wi-Fi. So, speaking of which, let's talk about this. First question. Would you live here at all?
No.
I am gobsmacked.
I truly would not.
None of it. Like, I'm not even asking, would you move? I'm asking, would you live here? And you're saying no. There's a big red flag that's holding you back, huh?
I mean, dude, I just love fresh air. I leave my window open all night, regardless of the temperature, to feel the morning breeze because it brings life into me. I just don't think I could live. I really don't think I could live without that. Like, look, could I? Yes, because I know theoretically when we die, there's a chance that our soul just gets plopped out from another pregnant human or another pregnant creature in another universe somewhere else. And maybe in that universe, I don't have fresh air anymore, and I will have to deal with that. And I will deal with that in that universe and whatever those rules are played by. But I live right now in a world where I have that. I have fresh water, I have clean air and clean water, and that's such a huge deal, and it feels great. And when I play video games for like 4 hours, I just feel like a slug. I just feel like my brain is numb and like I almost like wasted a huge chunk of time unconsciously. Unless I'm really into what I'm playing, like it's a new game and I'm hyped about it. But most of the time I just feel like I turn into a zombie when I game that long. You know what I mean?
Wow. Okay. And I thought this was going to be the biggest slam dunk so far that you were going to move because I didn't consider that.
I mean, the thing is, if we truly had access to all video games too, like most video games that I love, I wouldn't really want to live in that hard because the world itself isn't actually all that expansive or that interesting in comparison to like cartoons and film and TV and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, God, the Adventure Time world is flipping huge. But Super Smash Brothers, yeah, if you're technically counting the canon of every character that's in it, yeah, that's enormous. But I don't think we do. I think Super Smash Brothers is just the stages in the, you know, world of light and everything that's involved in the game itself. It's actually not that much to play around with. And I already did it. I already beat it in the game. That's the hardest thing for me about choosing to live in a game world is usually there's nothing more to the game world than what you can play in the game, which means I can already experience all of what's in that world without having to live in person in it.
Wow. Dang, dude. I gotta say, of all the points that you've made, this is my favorite. Just seriously, like, I just think it's such a creative way to approach this problem of whether or not we would live in a place.
Yeah.
And you're making me completely rethink it because I actually thought I was going to go. And I may still.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think I'd like it. I think I would feel awkward. This is the most awkward I feel like I would actually be in a place.
Yeah, I mean, canonically, you would be made up of codes.
Yeah, I mean, we might be made up of codes now. I don't know how stuff works. If I feel like a person, that's all that matters, I guess. But I don't know, man. There's just some like I don't see Candy Crush giving me seasons and like God, Halloween, and like how the rain comes down in the fall and I get candles and it smells like that autumn wind. Nah, man, I ain't giving that up for anything. I love that.
You know what I think is really beautiful about this too is that we spend all this time talking about, hey, this real world is bad, so you doing this thought experiment to see which animated worlds are better. I think it's good to not lose sight of how many things there really are to be grateful for about life.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I love it. I love it here. No, I mean, I don't think that I don't think that this is just to get out of all the shitty things about our own life. I think this is fun for talking about like because part of the reason that it's fun for me, like we talk about like what meaning you would have and how in a lot of these worlds you can pursue such a fulfilling lifestyle. That's because we all really want to live that life in this life and we can't,
Wow.
But it's really just a manifestation of our desire and potentially our will and drive to make our lives that amazing every single day.
Nice. Well, I definitely want to be approaching it with more of your positive attitude in the future of, yeah, this is not about leaving a worse place. This is just about going somewhere cool because it would be fun.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely said before, we're escaping, but this makes me even rethink my escapism idea, to be honest.
A lot of these worlds won't be better than here. I mean, I don't think escapism's ever. I would never live somewhere for escapism because that's always going to be bad news. Then that'll become your life and you can't escape to there anymore.
That's hedonic adaptation for you.
Yeah,
Look it
exactly.
up, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're making me reevaluate how I think about this whole concept, our whole podcast.
Whoa.
Man, I really want to just be like, but I would move there anyway. Because, like, if you're taking the biological part out of it, because I agree with you, I would miss the oxygen, I would miss the trees, I'd miss the nature. You do get a lot of those things in video game form, but it would feel a little bit artificial. But there's so much exploration. Like, of all the places that we've talked about, there is nowhere probably that you could explore more than this.
Yeah, I guess technically speaking, that's true.
I know that not everything is on screen, so we can't confirm that a lot of things would be there.
More isn't better, because the thing is, I already have more than I can explore in my life currently. You know what I mean? Like, just because all these places exist doesn't mean that you'll have time to go to half of them before you die. You know what I mean? Like,
or would you? How many of us say that we're going to go to all these places, and not that there aren't real financial restrictions.
Yeah, or like, would you even do it? Would you end up just sitting in your video game home like you do now? I mean, for me, it's the financial restrictions. I mean,
oh my God.
No. It's the financial restrictions for me. If I was rich, I would be in a different country every weekend.
Right. No, I know you would. But like, how many people don't even go to their backyard? No shade. Legit. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
yeah, people don't explore. I mean, I like to explore every square inch of the city that I'm living in. And every place that I've lived in, I've explored expansively, but that's just because I like to. That's not a moral thing. You don't have to.
Right. And I recognize that not everybody's in like the safest place where you can just go out and do all these things. So it's different depending on who you are.
Or if you have time.
But like, oh God, dude, you're making me think at such a high level that I was not ready to think about. I was ready to move here so fast. And I actually think you have talked me out of it. Like, I want to just for the sake of the podcast, I wanted to move here and shake it up again, and I can't do it anymore.
I'm sorry.
Like, you have argued me out of it.
I didn't mean to.
No, I appreciate it. I think that's what we're here to do, is really think about this, all these animated shows way more seriously than they've ever been thought about before.
What almost had you sold? Just access to so much cool shit that you enjoy?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like,
okay, there
it's
you go.
Like it's the ultimate adventure. It's like, but to be honest, like, that's how they get people like me. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Look at all these things, we've got all of these
Welcome to the internet.
As Bo Burnham once famously said. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I could do so much, but like, at what cost?
Yeah.
At what cost? I think that it has a serious risk of not being as cool as I think it would.
The internet already has so many things, and usually what I end up like, this is the thing, the internet gives you access to an infinite amount of random bullshit anyway, as it is right now. How do you spend it? What do you do with it? You learn in languages?
No,
No,
I mean,
are
you're right.
You learning about other cultures? You reading textbooks? Hell nah. You play stupid games and watch pictures of cats on, not you, but people in general. You know.
You
And
listen to podcasts and
yeah,
watch them on YouTube about a couple of
exactly.
goons who
Yeah,
are
exactly.
very into animation.
You hit subscribe on a very cool podcast that talks about absurdly intellectual matters when it should just be us having fun cartoon days.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button,
Hit that
everybody.
button. But I mean, not that, like, a lot of people do use at least half of their internet time for good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I learn a lot from the internet. I've been learning Japanese, not like actively enough that I should be proud about it or anything, but like
My job is also 100% on the internet. I work remote.
yeah,
So.
I literally I own a business that does digital marketing for a living, and my whole business is everything that I hate, which is just literally learning to milk the Facebook and Instagram systems. And I could probably do it for a YouTube channel a lot better, but it's too much work. I'd probably want to hire someone else to do it, ironically.
Gotcha.
But that's beside the point. Yeah, no, the internet's a mess, and I don't know why you would want to live inside of it when we have such a great world outside of it. This is the thing. If imagine you lived as one of these characters, and then you got to come here for a minute and go back. Tell me you wouldn't want to live here after that.
Wow. Wow. Oh my god, dude, look at you go. This is an all-time Lou podcast. I'm serious. I love this.
Oh yeah.
You are making me think so hard right now, like, because this
It's
goes
actually
so far beyond this thought experiment. Like,
it's almost like Plato's The Cave, but kind of different because it's a livability thing, less of a discovery thing, you know.
dang, now you're citing philosophers. All right. Well,
it's the most commonly cited thought experiment of all time.
all right. Well, everybody look up Plato's Cave if you're not familiar.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a good one. If you're not familiar, it's great for learning about reality and how there are different realities that we're very unlikely aware of.
Well, I enjoyed the hell out of this.
Yeah, me too. This was a good one. So we are both
really glad.
staying where we live. You live in
Fantasia. I'm staying there.
And I moved, didn't I? I left Fantasia.
You went to X-Men.
Yeah, that's right.
Where you can do more good and breathe air.
And breathe air. Yeah.
And touch grass.
And touch grass. Me talking about how much I love nature and stuff, and then me literally being in this chair for like 8 hours a day.
Well, I mean, sometimes we gotta work to pay the bills too.
No, I go camping and spin fire and do all this fun stuff. I go for runs. We should go for a run. But you have soon. Maybe you need to go for a run with me.
We should. It's been a while. And we should I should go for a walk after this.
Yeah, me too. Maybe I'll go touch some grass.
Cool.
Consensually.
All right. Well, hey everybody. Take a walk if you'd like.
Yeah.
You know, if it feels like it.
You know, and you just got through a long run of ours. We've been recording for almost an hour and a half. Go go for
or for those unable, you know, even to be outside, you know, sniff the air. If it's a good safe place to do it, then, you know, we encourage it. And we still appreciate you listening to us, and hopefully like the joy that you get out of this, because we know that's worth a lot too.
And if you can't get outside or you don't want to, scream at someone. It'll be funny. Randomly.
No.
Do it when they're least expecting it. Tell them I said to do it.
Just seek out more great content from. Just seek out more great content from Jester Brothers Cartoon Theaters. Stop it! Don't just scream. That is such bad podcast. Do you know how many people just almost got in a car accident?
Sorry, I couldn't help it. It just seems so funny. Bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Oh, we were doing so well. Almost the perfect podcast. Bye.